What's up guys, it's Storm here today. I'm doing my first versus matchup on the channel. I want to talk about the brothers of Luffy, Ace, the 2nd Division Commander of the Whitebeard Pirates, and Sabo, the Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army. Both are incredibly strong characters within the story that watch over Luffy. But the real question, as said in the title of this video, is which one of them is truly stronger, and who would win in a fight. Real quick, before I go into individual characters, I'm going to talk about the Devil Fruit since both combatants have access to it. The Mera no Mi is a Logia type Devil Fruit that allows the user to manipulate fire and turn to the natural element of fire itself. Here's a little fun fact about the fruit before I get into it. It's also described as one of the strongest of all Devil Fruits in the One Piece Databook Blue Grand Data File due to its immense destructive power. I'm going to start with Ace because he has a lot to go over and he's probably going to be the bulk of this video. A lot of Ace's scaling is spread across the story, so it's easiest to go in chronological order. The first important feat that I'm going to mention about him is his godly stamina. Upon trying to meet Whitebeard, he's stopped by Jinbei and enters a fight with him. The duo was then stated to have fought for 5 days straight by Ace's crew, which is one of the best stamina feats in the verse, only really surpassed by top tier fights like Aokiji vs Akainu. After stalemating Jinbei, Ace is able to recover and stand to face Whitebeard, who revives shortly after the conclusion of the battle. Ace is able to take a Haki-coded Naginata attack from the Emperor and stand up once again before eventually being defeated. Now we have to move into novel territory, specifically One Piece Ace's story, which describes how Ace actually joined the Whitebeard Pirates. Ace and Thatch, one of the members of the Whitebeard Pirates, make a deal that after 100 failed attempts to assassinate Whitebeard, Ace would have to join their crew. Ace is stated by Whitebeard to be getting stronger and stronger as these battles go on. On the 99th attempt to take Whitebeard's life, Ace is actually able to burn him with a fiery blow. It's confirmed in the previous volume of the novels that a strong Haki can actually negate Ace's flames, so Ace being able to burn Whitebeard is incredibly impressive. On the 100th attempt to kill Whitebeard, Ace not only burns him again in the same spot, but he for the first time forces Whitebeard to use his Devil Fruit in combat. Ace being able to burn and suppress Whitebeard means he's able to damage top tiers of the verse like the Yonko. Now before I move on, I'll quickly address the Yamato versus Ace stuff because it does actually happen before the events of the Whitebeard duels chronologically. Ace is shown to evenly combat Yamato, but Yamato was restricted by her Sea Stone handcuffs, which is actually stated in the V-Vercard data book. We know these cuffs not only weaken Devil Fruit users, but they take away the Devil Fruit powers, which is why it makes sense that Yamato was in base during the whole entire fight. Yamato is also stated to vaguely get stronger after fighting Kaido many times across her life, so it's possible she grew stronger between the time that she fought Ace and the current Wano events of the story. Overall, the scaling to current Yamato for Ace is very shaky and unlikely. The next fight I want to look at for Ace is Ace vs Blackbeard. Ace is able to eat attacks and get hits off on Blackbeard, which is really good for his scaling. We actually know Blackbeard was able to slash Shanks while he was in the East Blue, which is before he officially became a Yonko, but after his duels with Mihawk. Shanks also specifically mentions he wasn't being careless in this exchange, which means he likely was not off guard. We know that Shanks that Blackbeard's guard was equal to Mihawk based off statements and data books, so it's good consistency for Ace to be around the level to fight or damage top tiers within the story. Another bit of supporting evidence for Ace being this strong is him being able to react and clash with Aokiji during Marineford, while in the weakened state. So Ace has the ability to damage suppress top tiers such as the Yonko, and he's also fast enough to react or combat them. All of this while having the stamina to fight for 5 days, if not more. Now with all of Ace's power scaling out of the way, we can get into the controversy of his ability to use Haki. Within the first volume of One Piece, Ace's story, Ace fights a Vice Admiral whose name is Daro. Like all other Vice Admirals, Daro can use Haki. It allowed him to negate Ace's flames and touch his Logia body. Ace is actually on the losing end of the battle until he subconsciously unlocks Armen Haki, which allows him to win the fight. Ace doesn't use his Haki again in the remaining chapters of this volume or the next, so it's questionable if he can actually control it. Even in the V-Vercard databook, Ace is not listed as a user of armament nor observation. The only thing listed is Conquerors. Ace's Haki gets complemented by Ben Beckman after Ace visits the red-haired pirates within the novel, but we know this doesn't confirm his actual usage of Haki. Luffy gets a similar compliment from Blackbeard during Impel Down despite being unable to use his Haki consciously. Also, during his fight with Yamato, we don't see any of the signature Haki lightning from them that is usually created from clashes within the manga. That's it for Ace's scaling portion, so it's time to begin with Sabo's. Sabo's skill is a lot less complicated compared to Ace's, considering his screen time being much shorter overall in comparison. To begin, Sabo is listed as the user of armament observation in his Viva Card databook section. After his reveal in Dressrosa, he is shown to be proficient in a martial art called Ryusoken, which involves straightening his fingers for grip attacks. Sabo's Viva Card also says that he combines his martial art with his Maramara no Mi, which allows him to pound and scorch enemies at the same time. During the battle at the Colosseum, Sabo describes that all things have a core, and with his fighting style, he finds it and exerts force on it in order to shatter things in a single blow. People speculate that this is similar to Luffy's Ryo and Wano, but there's no actual confirmation of it being the same, and they are described differently, so for this video, I'm not considering them the same. After eating the Maramara no Mi and leaving the Colosseum, Sabo eventually encounters the Marines and stops them for Luffy's sake. Sabo is then shown combating a suppressed Fujitora for an extended period of time. Fujitora has been shown and stated to be holding back due to his beliefs of the world government, and he confirms he's making a gamble on the Straw Hats due to him not believing the world government is worthy of saving Dressrosa. Sabo is also shown not really being able to use Devil Fruit yet, as he's just acquired it. After the main portion of the battle is over, Sabo is shown with bruises on his face while Fujitora is clean of damage, implying Fujitora's superiority over him. Fujitora then makes a deal with Sabo, saying they are both on the same side, which is wanting Luffy and company to save Dressrosa, and he will act as if Sabo stopped him, which cements Fujitora not being fully serious and bypassing Sabo. It is also mentioned later by Maynard, a Vice Admiral who accompanied Fujitora to Dressrosa, that Sabo stopping Fujitora is fishy due to Fujitora's status as an admiral, which makes him the highest fighting power of the Marines, which is also stated in the Viva Card data book. This is still good for Sabo, as Fujitora complements his ability, and that Fuji is the top tier in the verse as an admiral. Sabo is also able to beat Burgess later in the arc, which isn't really good for feats, but just something I want to note. The last big feat for Sabo in this section is his attack on Mary Joa. We are told initially that two admirals, Green Bull and Fujitora, clashed with the Revolutionary Army captains. Later on, we know it's a potential 4v2 with Limburg, Karasu, Sabo, and Morley versus the two admirals, or maybe a 5v2 if you think Kuma was involved, but it's unlikely due to his status. We do see Fujitora actually injured and banished in chapter 957, which implies they were actually able to damage the admirals. The admirals are, however, noted to be restricted due to fighting within the Holy Land, which is similar to the admirals at Marineford, where they can't use big attacks due to it damaging the land around them. Akainu does, however, say that there's no excuse for them allowing the enemies to escape, and this is just going to round out Sabo's section. Now we are going to compare the two directly to each other. In terms of overall scaling, they are pretty similar to each other, being able to clash with suppressed top tiers and keep up with them. Ace was actually able to burn Whitebeard, while Sabo couldn't do the same to Fujitora. Fujitora was, however, injured in the aftermath of Mary Joa, but since it was off screen, we aren't sure who inflicted the damage or how much help Sabo had due to it likely being a 4v2. This leads me to believe Ace is slightly stronger in attack potency. When it comes to speed, they are also pretty relative considering both react to suppressed admirals, although Aokiji has more impressive showings in the story than Fujitora, making it probable Ace also likely has a slight speed advantage. Ace is better with the Maramara no Mi based on his more rounded experience and usage of the fruit, but we also see Sabo struggles with the fruit initially, and while we know he has been training with it post Dressrosa, it's unlikely he has reached Ace's mastery of the fruit. While Sabo can combine his Ryusoken with his Devil Fruit, Ace has many techniques with the fruit we see in the Blackbeard fight, so it shouldn't be up for discussion who is superior with the fruit. The deciding factor of the fight, however, is Ace's Haki. Like I mentioned previously, it is hard to pin down Ace's control or usage of it in canon material. Ace mentions within the Blackbeard fight after hearing his opponent is a Logia that his flame shouldn't work on him. This will make it hard for Ace to really damage Sabo considering his Logia ability and Haki. Sabo is shown to be much more proficient at Haki than Ace within canon material as well. He has a martial art in which he uses armament Haki in tandem with, while he also being a confirmed observation user. In this scenario, Sabo should be able to win despite a small gap of power Ace has over him. Now, if you consider Boichi's manga adaptation of the Ace novel canon, it is much more likely Ace would beat Sabo. In this adaptation, Ace not only has complete control of his Conqueror's Haki, but also observation. While he is never shown using armament, it is heavily implied in dialogue by Thatch that Ace actually relies on it more than observation. With this version of Ace, I would deem him the winner if he had a fight with current Sabo. I however lean slightly more on the manga adaptation being non-canon. So within the canon material, the answer is a bit more tricky considering when Ace is pushing the actual novels, he's able to unlock his armor and hotkey in combat as well as getting stronger through fighting. If this happens, it's much more likely Ace would win. But overall, Sabo's a more consistent answer than Ace and would be the one I chose if I had to. What's up, guys? It's the outro. Um, Basically, I just want to say, if you enjoyed the video or you learned something new about One Piece you didn't know before, I appreciate it if you liked the video. Subscribe for more content like this because I am planning to put out even more stuff. The next video I already have in mind. Here's a little bit of a hint. It's going to be about two swordsmen of the One Piece verse. It is a versus matchup. Hope you guys stay long enough to see it. And yeah, that's all I have to say. See you guys around.